A friend of mine conceived of the large language model about 20 or 30 years ago, the exact mechanics, but using television shows instead of text to train the model. It still blows my mind this dude dreamt this up that long ago. A few people have mentioned they think he's the smartest guy they know. He also called friends the morning of Jan 6 to warn them Trump was going to try to overthrow the government that day. He jokes with everyone that he's got a crystal ball. When I was about 10, I had a friend who was 1 year older. We decided to do some Thomas Kincaid puzzles in the middle of the night during a sleepover. These were 1,000-piece puzzles, so I figured we would only get some spots done and maybe the border. This girl proceeded to put the puzzle together line by line, piece by piece. She was very systematic and very fast. I think we put at least 3 puzzles together in like 3 hours. I'm not sure if I helped or hindered, to be honest. I have never seen anything like it since. She also made crazy things out of necks without plans, like functional baby strollers and Barbie vans with seats and everything. Crazy. I don't think she did anything with her skills either. I had a hard time teaching my kid to indicate different numbers with his fingers when counting. He would just twist his fingers up after counting to 5. This went on 4 months when my husband commented that they were consistent patterns he made with his fingers when counting. My 2-year-old invented a way to use his fingers to count to 100. I was a little creeped out because he was otherwise a doofy toddler. A young Japanese kid just proved that butterflies keep their memories through caterpillar into butterfly changing. Not only that, but he proved that they pass along memories to their offspring. This could really open up doors to understanding consciousness, things of that kind. Our neighbor's kitten went missing. We couldn't find him for ages, and we said to our cat, go find kitten. Our cat immediately ran into the garden, found a bush, then stood and meowed at that bush. Inside was the kitten. Japanese ravens. I was stationed at a Japanese base. The craziest teamwork I've seen was one raven swooped to knock over the public trash can lid with the door. The others then swooped in to get a bag of trash out, brought it to the ground, and then they had a feast of picnic leftovers. We had to clean it up. On a separate day, I saw one carry a McDonald's box, my guess, 4 McNuggets, to gather food into it and fly away carrying their spoils. Then on Japanese TV, the craziest one I've seen was they were observing ravens at a coastal town. The ravens took change from a nearby shrine, inserted the coin into a bait vending machine, proceeded to feed on bait. One of my study group friends was a bit on the autism spectrum. He started to map out on a calendar when he had bad interactions with the female members. Eventually, he had all of their menstrual cycles mapped incredibly accurately and would offer them chocolate during these times until they caught on. I watched a crow in my city intentionally drop a tough walnut onto a crosswalk. Instead of trying to crack it itself, it flew up to a street lamp and waited for a car to run over it. The creepy part: it didn't just fly down immediately after the car passed. It specifically waited for the pedestrian walk signal to turn on and the cars to stop before safely walking into the crosswalk to eat it. It completely understood our traffic laws better than half the drivers on the road. Knew a guy back in LARP days. Our group had 6 months off between fights because of COVID restrictions. 6 months to know where we were going to be sparring when it was going to happen. 6 months to prepare against each other. Before we met up to fight, he told me, our unofficial ref, what he expected the others to be playing as, what he planned to use, what order he planned to use them in, and what stage he expected to be on when he won. In the end, he was right. He'd successfully predicted the weapons, abilities, and strategies of the other 3 players, eliminated all 3 of them in the exact order he expected to, and did so at the exact points he expected to. Scarily smart, intolerably smug. Ask Gemini this and cephalopod intelligence, the alien on Earth. If we look at biological intelligence, octopuses are the reigning champions of creepy brilliance. distributed brains, 2/3 of an octopus neurons are in its arms. In animals, I saw a Norwegian grey moosehound stand up next to the door, turn the lock with his mouth, pull the door handle with his paw and walk out before nonchalantly kicking the door shut with his hind leg without turning his head. Many years ago I worked for a human services nonprofit. I serve special needs people. One older client arrived after spending most of his 45 years in his parents' mansion, listening to the radio and studying almanacs. He wore his grandfather's wool suits from the 1940s and 50s. If you gave him any date in history, he could quickly tell you the day of the week it was. We tested him. He also knew the old radio shows by heart. After living in isolation all those years, we trained him how to work, got him a job and a placement into a group home. A very happy ending. I'm a preschool teacher. I had a child building with connecting blocks. He built a large cube with the blocks. A nonverbal 3-year-old child walked by, glanced at the cube and said 64. He was right, there were 64 blocks in the cube. I had a moment with I that was honestly not creepy but just mind-blowing. I sent a multi-page document and asked for an analysis and it was complete, thorough, insightful, and useful and it came back instantly. I've had other moments with I, which were just like dealing with a toddler. Asked my cat if he loved me. He turned around and gave me a gentle headbit. I asked again a few days later, and this time he stood up, turned around, and did it. I didn't teach him this. He just understood. He also understood the very first time I asked him if he would give me a kiss. He gave me a nose kiss. And he has repeated this many times, so it wasn't a fluke. I never taught him that. He somehow knew what I meant the first time. He actually understands conversational English, not just the words but the proper context the very first time you say it, and it's kind of freaky. My dad learned fluent Spanish in 6 months. He learned Vietnamese when he was stationed there, and taught me how to sing in Vietnamese when I was a kid. He would have full conversations in the grocery store with folks. He did a bunch of other weird shit, but this the most cut and dry example. What weirds me out too, it takes me longer to learn a language, but I somehow don't forget it. I was never the best at German, but I still know all the German I ever learned. I can read in it, and I am now teaching it to my daughter. How can I speak German but not know where my keys 80 of the time? I remember once having a coworker who could read people way too well. Like she would watch somebody talk for a few minutes, and then later tell me exactly what they were worried about or hiding, and most of the time she was right. It was impressive, but also a little unsettling, because it felt like nothing about you stayed private around her. A college classmate of mine lived in my building, first floor below me on the 3rd. He had a parrot that had been in his family for a long time. It was amazing. He would put it out on the patio in its cage, and it would harass joggers going by. It could tell the difference between men and women, and would bark at the men like really loud. For women it had 2 different wolf whistles, one short and quick, and one very long drawn out. My poor buddy couldn't sit on his patio if the bird was out, because the woman would blame him. I can tell when there are hawks in the sky near my home, because our crow defense network goes into action. Every time I hear the crows calling more than usual, I look outside to find a group of them herding a hawk out of our airspace. One crow will fly to a high roof or tree and literally be air traffic control and call to the herding group, maybe 5 other crows who live in our neighborhood, and those crows will keep either flat attacking the hawk or landing in trees closer and closer to it until the hawk gives up and leaves. I've seen it happen a number of times since I started paying attention to the noises outside. Watching a crow drop nuts on the road so cars would crack them open, then waiting for the traffic light to turn red so it could safely walk out and eat them. That is actually awesome as fuck. That is actually awesome as fuck. I know not a lot of people will see this, but I think those of you who contributed animal stories would really like Ted Chiang's The Great Silence. It's a very, very brief short story, but it's very impactful because it goes straight to the heart of our blindness when it comes to other animals. I once encountered a spider hanging by a single thread he stopped. I kept going so long that I was 100 sure the dude could deduce what I was